Okay, so today we are going to learn about the gradient map. So I have an image pulled up that I've already previously done. And so I really love her colors, but we're going to go ahead and play with the gradient map and see what else we can do with this particular artwork. So with the gradient map, what it does is it's under the little wand icon and it's set under gradient map. And so you can choose layer or pencil. I like to go with layer. It goes with the whole layer that we're on. So in that case, we do need to select the layer that we want to choose the gradient from. So if we go to our layers map, depending on your artwork and how many layers you work with, you might have just like a single layer or you might have multiple like I have in here. I like to split mine up into quite a few different layers. So for this instance, I want to kind of combine some of the layers so I can really play with the gradient map. I don't want to just work with one single layer. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of go step by step through the different like sections of this mermaid and see what it does. So I'm going to start with her tail. So down here I have the base of her tail and then I have a few other shading options with her tail. So I'm just going to actually pinch all of those together to create a single layer where it just has her tail color. So if I toggle this on and off, you can see that we have all of the colors of the fin and her tail selected. So I'm going to keep those selected and then we'll go back to our canvas. We're going to go to our pencil icon. We're going to go to gradient map and we'll choose layer. And so it's going to remember the last gradient that you were on. So I was on this one right here, it's fancy stuff. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but then you can click through to the other preset gradient libraries and you can see how that's changed. Like this is gorgeous. I love this gray and then the pink that it chose. But you can go to neon, blaze, Venice, instant, breeze, and mystic. So you can see the different options it has in here in this gradient. And so what's happening, I really love the mocha. So what's happening is if we click on this mocha one, for instance, it's finding the darks and lights and the different shades throughout your image of whatever layer you're on and changing it to these gradients. So we can move around these. Doesn't look like that one did anything. We can move these around and you can kind of see that this gray, for instance, is changing. And if you pop it to outside of another color, it really changes things up. So you can see how that's working in there. So you can kind of play around with those. Once it's how you want it to look, you can go ahead and click on done and it saves those. Now you can also click on the plus icon right here and it's going to do a black to white gradient up here. So it's just creating a new one, but you can click on the little boxes and you can select any color that you want up here. So you can create your own gradient map. And if you just if you just press into the area, you can choose another one. So it's going to just start adding in the different layers of the colors. So we can come in here and we can do something very different. And then you can just really kind of keep going from there. So you can see how you can kind of play with the gradient map and it creates something new. And that looks pretty cool right there. And then you can say done and it's created a new one called gradient for us. So that one didn't exist before because we have the one that was before and after it. So it didn't replace any of the ones that were already existing. It created a new one. And then you can just go back to your canvas and start doing that with the other layers. So maybe I want to do the headband and her starfish bra together. So I can combine those into one layer, select it, and then go back to our wand, go to gradient map layer, and we can either choose a different one or we can stick with the gradient that we have. In this case, it kind of took away some of the details that you see in here, but we could go in and edit the colors if we want to bring back some of the texture. So you can kind of see some of the texture coming back into the starfish. The headband, it looks like it's kind of gotten rid of most of that texture in there. I don't know if we'll be able to bring it back using this, but you can kind of play around with that and see how that works. Ta-da! And I mean, you can do it with all the layers. So if you wanted to even change her skin tone, you could go into there. And it usually doesn't work too great with the skin tones. You can see it's just made her into a blue mermaid. But we could go through some of the other ones. Like that one looks pretty cool. And yeah, so that one's all right. So you can kind of see how that works. So if you're in this area and you just press once on kind of like that area, canvas area, you can do a preview, you can undo, you can apply it, or you can cancel it. So if we're just like, well, let's go ahead and cancel it, we can click cancel, and it brings it back to what it was. So that's how the gradient map works. It's really pretty fun. I kind of want to just do the background as just one last one to do. Ooh, isn't that beautiful? So that was the Mystic, but if we go back to our original, we can get those pinks. And we can start really playing around with some of these colors if we want. Maybe we want more of that orange because it hasn't pulled in the orange anywhere. Really looks like it doesn't. So I haven't played around with this too much to really understand all of how to kind of navigate through and change things up. But yeah, but that's your gradient map. So you can kind of play around with it and see how you like it. But it's a really quick way to really change the mood of an image. Now, alternatively, you can use this on images of yourself. So if you actually had a photograph, you can import a photograph into Procreate and change it up from there. So give me 1 second. I don't want to share my photo gallery because I have images of friends on there that I don't have their permission to share. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new canvas with an image. So I'll just choose, I want a real image. So I'm gonna find something of probably myself because I have access, I have my own permission to use my own images. So I guess that's fine. So what we'll do is whatever, we'll just choose one from my hike the other day. It's not the best, but it's what it is. Okay, so I have my image. And we're going to go ahead and play with the gradient map on this one. This is actually the first time I've used the gradient map on a real image. Okay, so this is the one we created. It looks terrible. But like mocha, I mean, that looks pretty awesome. That one doesn't. So you can kind of see, it's just a filter, really, but a little bit more intense than you normally see. And then, of course, you can always go in and change up how much the highlights and so it's the highlights and the shadows is really what it's pulling from. So the shadows. So that's how that works. Ta-da! Apply. Well, I think it applied it a second time. Anyway, we're just going to click on the select and it selects it. Okay. And that is your gradient map. It's beautiful.